Whenever clients need legal advice, their immediate focus is on the nature of the problem and the immediacy of the issues that arise from it. When you engage a lawyer, they are interested to understand firstly who they are dealing with and to comply with their professional obligations which involve certain steps. This necessarily means that there is a process for engaging a lawyer effectively and to ensure that your interests as a prospective client are protected. The first critical step is to do a conflicts check. This is to identify the client involved and where there is more than one potential client to understand if there is a potential for a conflict. Other matters that can be important are what prospective clients have placed on social media platforms, as any admissions or adverse statements can sometimes have a bearing on the case. If the client is not an individual and is, for instance, a trust or a corporation, then additional information may be needed. For instance, firstly, where the client is an individual, it is necessary to understand their full name, surname, and other details, and to understand if they want to act jointly with another client where, for instance, they might own a property as a tenant in common or jointly. If there is a potential conflict at this instance, it is worth identifying it early on so that future problems are potentially avoided. Where the client is a trust, whether it is an individual acting as a trustee or a corporate trustee, some additional information would be needed, such as a certified copy of the trust deed, confirmation that the trust has the necessary powers, and to identify the individual in respect of that trust. Where the client is a corporation, it is useful to obtain certain additional information about who the directors are and who the shareholders are. That is necessary in case it might become appropriate to criticize some of the conduct of the directors involved or the shareholders. And if the conflict search was not done early on, a situation may arise where the lawyer would need to withdraw at short notice. Additional information needed includes the need for an ASIC search, resolution that appoints the lawyers to act for the company, an authority from the company permitting the relevant director to provide the instructions to the lawyers, and so on. Where disputes are involved, it is also necessary to know the names of the other parties involved and the names of the potential witnesses. For instance, where the witness might be, in the unlikely circumstances, someone known to the lawyers who are acting, and they need to criticize those witnesses, they need to know this early on. Because ultimately what the client wants to avoid is having the lawyers withdraw later down the track and having new lawyers jump in simply because a conflicts check was not done properly and at the early stage. Lawyers are also interested in ensuring that there is an effective cost agreement in place to ensure that the rights of both the lawyer and the client are properly protected.